Holy moly, Iran just seized a U.S. Chevron oil tanker in the Middle East, guys. They just came up, took it, took the ship, took all the oil, and they're going to sell the resources, the oil on there for $50 million, guys. That's a big chunk of money. Now, the thing we need to realize is that the same act that Iran has done is exactly what America has done to Iran multiple times. So basically, they're just taking back their resources that America has seized before. Because if you don't know, America is the world's biggest bully that has sanctioned so many countries, okay, all over the world. And one of the main countries is Iran. And on top of that, they've been seizing Iran's ships. They've been seizing Iran's oil and just taking it and basically stealing it and bringing it to America and using it ourselves or selling it, okay? And so now we're at the point where Iran's doing exactly what America did. You stole from me, I'm going to steal from you, okay? Now, what this does for you and me is that it's pushing hyperinflation into place. This is guaranteeing that we're going to have high prices no matter how you slice it and dice it. We're going to have high fuel prices. We're going to have high food prices. We're going to have high commodity prices, okay? Because what's going on in the Middle East with the kinetic energy, with what's going on with the Houthis, with what's going on with the Iran, that's all going to make inflation in our backyard hyperinflation. We haven't seen inflation yet, okay? It's going to boogie up like we never seen before. Unfortunately, that's going to hurt you and me like you never heard before. It's going to hurt all the retirees baby boomers, okay? So things are getting really, really crazy. Doesn't look like there's a stop to it, okay? And I want you to understand that, Iran is a tough country, guys, okay? They've been around for decades and hundreds of years. They're smart people. The thing about the Iranians is they're not out there trying to start wars, right? But they're not going to back down from a fight either, okay? So even though they're going against America, the biggest country, the superpower, they're just not scared, okay? If you reflect back in the past 5 years, the only country that has stepped up to America is Iran. Couple of years ago, they shot down the American multi-million-dollar drone. A couple of moons ago, they stole another tanker. And a couple of months ago, they fired on the U.S. bases. So the only country in the world that has the balls to stand up to America has been Iran so far. All the other countries just bow down. Even though Iran is such a small country, they've been sanctioned to hell, they've actually became stronger from the sanctions. And that's the thing that most people don't realize is that Iran is a super strong country because they're self-reliant. Let me say that again. I believe that Iran is one of the strongest countries in the world because it's one of the only countries in the world that has been sanctioned, been cut off from the rest of the world, and they become self-reliant. What that means is they produce their own medicine. What that means is they produce their own cars. What that means is they produce their own missiles. They produce their own weapons. They produce their own ships. They produce their own everything you can imagine, guys. They're not relying on a third party. They're not relying on a third country. Unlike America, for example, at America, we're in such a disadvantage is because our factories is China or commodities are other countries. Okay, so we're so dependent on so many other countries that if they all sanction us, we would be in deep shit. Excuse my language. Okay, but unlike Iran, they've been isolated. They've been, sanctioned. And they had to make it themselves. They had to create their own food. They had to become their own farmers. They had to create their own machines. They had to create everything themselves, which, yes, it did hamper their economy, right? But on the flip side, their economy is not dependent on any other country. So I need you to understand that. Iran is one of the only countries that I know of that is self-reliant. They don't need anything from anyone else. They can make everything themselves. Almost everything is produced inside of the country, okay? Almost everything. There's no other countries out there. They have all the resources there. America, we have a lot of resources here. But because of capitalism, because of profit margins, we've outsourced everything to everyone else, okay? Which has made us grow tremendously. But at the end of the day, the foundation is not there in America because we don't have those things in our own backyards anymore. But on the flip side, Iran, well, they weren't able to trade with other countries. They weren't able to deal with other countries. So they had to be sanctioned and isolated like a prisoner, all right? And they became tough. They dig tunnels. They created their own weapons. They created their own missiles. They created their own cars. They created their own industries. And they're not relying on anyone. And this is why I say Iran is one of the toughest countries out there because they're self-reliant, 100% self-reliant, okay? I don't know any other countries out there. Even China needs commodities from other countries, where Iran has its own commodities, has its own factories, has its own everything, okay? And it's not relying on anyone else. And that's a lot of powerful thing because imagine, two U.S. citizens. You have one U.S. citizen who's depending on Big Brother through food stamps and subsidies, and you have another U.S. citizen. He's just living on the country, right? He has his own sheep, he has his own chicken, he has his own milk, he knows how to build his everything, he has his own tools. He's not depending on anyone, right? Who's a stronger individual? The one that's depending on Big Brother or the one that's self-reliant? And this is the situation we have here. We have Iran that's a self-reliant country that has developed its own weapons, everything, right? Has created its own factories, everything. Hasn't been able to trade with the whole world for a very long time, all right? And is self-efficient. This is very, very crucial because once the kinetic energy happens, that means that country is going to suffer way less than other countries when the World War III actually is televised, right? Because I believe we're already in World War III, it's just not being televised. But once everything pops off and the world of nutrition takes in place, we're going to realize who's the really tough countries and who's not. The toughest countries are going to be the countries that are self-reliant, like Russia, like Iran, okay? They're able to make it without, other countries, right? And the ones that are dependent on so many other countries because of their resources, because of the commodities, because of the factories, because of the labor, they're going to be in deep shit. And I think that we're going to be in deep shit, guys, because we don't have our own factories. We're importing commodities. None of us really want to work. Many of us on government cheese and so on and so on. Even the government is on government cheese, all right, on that fake money printing. So anyways, guys, this is the situation. Things are getting out of control. As I stated, gas prices will be over $9, right? As I stated, mortgage rates are going to be over 19%. And it's coming because the Fed cannot control the money printing. It's not going to affect it anymore because it's a second layer, right? The first layer is the commodities, and the commodities are Iran, Russia, China. These guys got the commodities. They're producing the raw materials into final products for us like China is doing, okay? So things are getting very, very tough, and I think many countries are telling their people to prepare, like China, like Europe. They're telling their people, have some food, have this, have that. But here in America, no one gives a rat's butt about anything. We're watching the football games, we're watching this, we're watching that. We're just living our own life. We're trying to be our own dreams. We don't have no idea that, Armageddon's coming, right? Because no one's telling us about it. We're just living our dreams. We're trying to be the best we can. We're trying to get Bitcoin rich. We're trying to get stock rich. We're trying to be our dreams. But hey, very soon there's not going to be any dreams left because what's happening, right? And I know CNN and the legacy media is not telling you about it, but if you just take 1 moment, 5 moments, and go watch the news from other countries, right, you'll get to see exactly what's happening. Anyways, guys, thank you for clicking the like button. If you're interested in real estate, check out my website at myrealestatedojo.com. Get my free training, and don't take no for an answer. Peace.